break up the band, they make a big deal out of their giving. Somehow when I was driving the tractor and thinking about this, I could just see Daniel taking out a big bill and putting it in there. They're wanting to be seen, doing their acts of righteousness before men to be seen by men. And they're praying. They love to pray standing on the street corners and in the synagogues. You know, brother so-and-so, would you pray with us? Okay. And on they go to be seen by men. And they're fasting. They disfigure their faces and they make sure you notice they're suffering. They're fasting for the Lord. And so you have this tension throughout the book of Matthew. Matthew does a great job of just displaying it. You know, the religious leaders and then Jesus. He has a very different way of doing it. He's building a different kingdom. They're building their own kingdoms. So 3 times in Matthew 6, don't be like the hypocrites. You know, it's not surprising that they killed him because he was very overt in his observations. And his audience, they knew exactly what he's talking about. When he said hypocrites, they knew. He didn't have to explain. They knew who he was talking about. It was very clear. There was a smell about this religiosity. This wasn't a true connection with God. It had a stink to it. And so Jesus says, don't pray like them. And then he gives them a different way to pray. This is how you should pray. And then we have the Lord's Prayer. I've never been drawn to the Lord's Prayer. My picture of the Lord's Prayer is, Our Father who art in heaven. You know, it seems so ritualistic, so formal, so remote, distant, disconnected from reality. And as it's been fermenting in my spirit the last number of weeks, I've come to see it in a very different way. It is actually very, very deeply personal, very meaningful and rich. And I've kind of rediscovered it as I've been bouncing along and thinking about these things. So my first point about talking with Papa is don't use HP sauce. Don't pray like the hypocrites, trying to be seen by people. Don't pray like the pagans who babble on and on, thinking that they'll be heard because of their many words. His audience knew, again, who he's talking about. It's the idol worshipers around them, among them. You know, they go on and on, just babbling, trying to be heard because of their many words. And the Bible does say pray without ceasing, so you got to take what I'm going to say in context with a grain of salt. It is good to pray and to continue to bring our petitions to the Lord. But you don't have to babble on and on to be heard. Your Father already knows what you're going to ask even before you verbalize it. He knows that. You don't have to go on and on. So don't use HP sauce. Don't pray like the hypocrites or like the Pharisees. Focus on your DD, your divine daddy, our Father. Now, like I said, there was nothing really drawing me to this prayer. It seems so remote and disconnected. Why would I want to go through motions that don't mean anything? Why would I try to connect with a Father that's distant and detached and not really interested in me? But that's not what it is. Our Father, this is a Father that is interested, involved. He's given everything to help us to overcome, to succeed. He's very invested in us. He loves us. He loves us so deeply. So our Father, our Daddy, Papa, Abba, who is in heaven. You're not like an earthly father. You have all the resources of heaven at your disposal. The minion armies, the angel armies of heaven are at your fingertips. You see everything, you hear everything, you know everything. You can do whatever needs being done. Our Father, Papa in heaven, meaning you're amazing. So focus, when we pray, focus on our divine Daddy. And rest, oh pardon me, I'm getting ahead of myself. Seek his HK. Hallowed be your name. Honor, exalted, glory, praise, honor, praise, glory, exaltation. I keep shining a light into that corner instead of pressing advance. I'm getting old. That scares me a bit going to camp. Hallowed be your name. So all glory and honor and praise to you. Your kingdom come. By the way, Jesus is talking in and to an honor culture. When he says honor or hallowed be your name, they know what that means. You wouldn't dream of doing anything to bring dishonor to your family. Honor is sort of the highest value. If your sibling steps out and joins a different faith, or they do something that's wrong, like adultery, you're going to be the first one to put the squeeze on them to bring them back, because they are shaming the family. This is the horridest thing you can do to your family. And so you're going to persecute, you're going to do whatever you can. You're going to kill them. If they don't turn around, you're going to kill them to restore the honor of the family. We still have cultures like that. Jesus was talking in a culture like that. So when you pray, hallowed be your name, it means, Father, I'm not going to do anything to bring dishonor to your name. I'm lining up with you. Glory to your name. Your kingdom come. Your will be done. It's been kind of embarrassing listening to myself pray in the last while, because a lot of my praying is, my kingdom come, my will be done. God, would you do this? Would you do this? Would you do, I want this and this and this and this. And Jesus shows us a different way. We're actually praying for the Father's glory and for his kingdom to come, his will to be done. We're lining ourselves up with him. He's the center, not us. Rest in his DB. Give us this day our daily bread. There's the big ask. The big ask. This is what I want. Give me my daily bread. We've already got it. He's already given it. He's given us what we need for today. So it's more like saying, thanks, God. I'm going to be content with your provision today. I'm not going to clamor for more. I want the moon. I want everything. I want this. I want it to be sunny. No, I want it to rain. I want my crops to grow. I want the hay to get into the shed in good shape. I want buyers for my hay. I want trucks to haul the hay. And I want this and this and this and this and this. But thanks, Lord, for providing. You've given me my daily bread. A week ago, I had a chance to pray this prayer. It was a God moment for me. We were bailing. We had just begun. It was on Friday. It looked like the rain was coming according to the forecast. And so the pressure was on. The time was limited. And we were having problems. We had one line that broke like 4 times. It's like, why? Why do you keep breaking? And so we'd fix it, and then we'd fix it again, and we'd fix it again. And then the tractor we'd made 10 bales, and then the tractor PTO stopped working. And that's a big deal. This is Friday late afternoon. The mechanics are heading home for the weekend or to the lake and wherever. And we've got hay to make. What are we going to do? So naturally, you're praying. So I prayed this prayer. Lord, thank you for giving me what I need today. I will be content with this. I do not need this hay in the shed. If it all rots, you have given me what I need today. I will be satisfied with you, with your provision. Thank you for my daily bread. That was a different way of praying, and it brought a peace to my spirit, a contentment that, God is much bigger, and I'm going to be okay in his care, in his provision, today, tomorrow, the next day, even if this all goes to pot. Rest in his daily bread. Use the fiber of forgiveness. Forgive us our debts as we forgive those who trespass against us. There's a few things in here. One is an acknowledgement of our brokenness. We come to God as needy people, as broken people, as sinful people. We need his grace, his forgiveness, and his mercy. And so we're acknowledging, God, I need your forgiveness. But why does Jesus have to tack this next thing on? As we forgive our debtors. I just want to be forgiven. And I want to keep stewing about those that have wronged me. I'm not ready to let go of it. It hurts too much. It was too much. I can't forgive. Forgive us as we forgive our debtors. It's like there's this stream coming down the mountainside, this stream of living water, God's love, his grace, his forgiveness. It's sparkling, it's just crystal clear, it's cold and refreshing. Have you ever been hiking in the mountains and stopped to drink from a stream like that? Snow melt, it's cold, it's just, it's good. And as this flows through us and continues to flow into the lives around us, we experience it. We experience God's grace, his love flowing into us and through us. But when that gets plugged up, it gets stopped, when we hang on to bitterness or unforgiveness, it becomes like a stagnant cesspool of stinky sewer in our spirit and stagnates and stinks. So use the fiber of forgiveness, the laxative of love, and just keep things moving. Let's not get all constipated with bitterness and unforgiveness. I just shone a light into the corner again. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Why do we pray, lead us not into temptation? Is God just kind of, I'm going to lead you into temptation? And we go, no, don't lead us into temptation. Then he goes, okay, then I won't lead you. I don't think so. I don't think that's God's nature and his character to lead us into temptation. Elsewhere in the Bible it says, when you're tempted, you shouldn't say, God is tempting me. Each of us is tempted when we're led astray by our own evil desires. Or another place, the world, the sin, the devil, those are where temptation comes from. It's not coming from God. So why are we praying, lead us not into temptation? By the way, all these things I'm saying, I don't know all this. I'm just saying what makes sense to me. And there's room for you to figure this out in other ways as well. But the way it seems to me, it's a bit like praying, give us our daily bread. It's an acknowledgement of what's already happening. God is not leading us into temptation. In fact, He's doing the opposite. He is guiding us around through temptation. And so it's more of a, I'm going to stick close to you, God. Guide me not into temptation. I'm just going to get right close to you as you lead me not into temptation. Last few weeks we've had some sharing about dreams in our praise and prayer time. And I've had a number of dreams in my life where I felt pretty sure that was God talking to me. And the first one I remember, and I've shared this probably a bunch of times here already, but Emily had prayed with me, I think it was a Sunday night, praying that God would guide me with sermon prep for the coming week, what to preach about. And I had a pretty vivid dream that night. I was running the race that was marked out for me. I'm not a runner, but in this case I was running, and I was a youth pastor at the time, and some of my youth I noticed them also running with me on this race, and I noticed different things about how different ones were running the race. At some point I had to, it was so thick, such a jungle, I had to actually crawl and kind of weasel my way through this spot to continue. And so I was crawling along, and I was aware of a couple of guys just right behind me. And these were guys that I was mentoring, guys that were just kind of following in my wake, as it were. And that's a picture for me of this. Lead us not into temptation. God, I'm just going to tuck right in behind you and follow your leading and your guiding as you lead me not into temptation. And deliver us from evil. It's an acknowledgement of this, the cosmic battle that we're a part of. And that we need God's deliverance, God's amazing stuff to make it happen. We can't do it on our own. We need you. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. So stay close for divine protection. I'm not pushing the light button this time. There we go. This is the last point. It's us and we, not I and me. Notice the language in this prayer. Our Father, give us this day our daily bread. Lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from evil. I don't know how to really pray like that. In our culture, I think we're so far from this idea of community that I don't even know where to begin. But I noticed it in the language. It's us and we, not I and me. One example of this is just those of you that have prayed as I've been preparing the sermon. And a number of you have already said, I'm praying for you as you go to camp. I'll be praying for you. I guess that's some of this. Us and we, not I and me. So just to recap, don't use HP sauce. Focus on your divine daddy. Seek his honor and his kingdom. Rest in his daily bread. Use the fiber of forgiveness and live in the shadow of his divine protection. Thank you.